Hi guys, how you doing today? This is a $100 million podcast with John Klein. Our $100 million guest today is Autumn. Autumn is co-founder of Gnusante. I'm gonna let her introduce herself, and we're super excited to hear some strategy from her today. How you doing, Autumn?
Hey, hi, how are you?
Good,
Uh,
good.
yeah, so I'm excited to be here. I'm Autumn. I am co-creator of Gnusante. I came on to Gnusante and our parent company Catalyst, perfectly timed in 2019. So really hit the ground running in an interesting pivoting strategy time. But basically, I run a company from strategy and ideation that's all about making better beverages for you, believing that consumers deserve better. That it's not about the corporate bottom line, but corporations can have success just as consumers deserve better products, and that there's a marketplace for that, which we discover every day that there is. People are willing to pay just a little bit more to have something that's uncompromised when it comes to quality, nutrition, and taste. So, yeah, it's fun. We have three lines right now and growing from there, with the goal to be what people think of in Canada and North America when they want a beverage that has benefits. We want them to think Gnusante. Gnusante is kind of a funny name, but it basically means relentless pursuit of health. New is the great migrating animal. Santé is French for health, which is a nod to our Canadian roots. So we're in relentless migration to health.
Love that, love that. Tell us a little bit about the history of the beginning of Nusante.
So I came on when it was already up and alive. My dad founded it with my sister. My sister decided to focus more on family and being at home and all of her other great adventures. I was in a transition period of life, so was kind of working on some side projects related to acting and scuba diving, which is a whole other part of my life. But all of us remember 2019 and traveling worlds kind of stopped. So as my sister was transitioning into her new life, I was kind of like, sure, I can help out. I really loved the passion of the project. So Gnusante has two pillars about putting people first and planets first. Both of those things are really core to me too. And I knew nothing about the industry, but was like, let me learn and see how I can help until the world gets back running again. And how many ever years later, this is almost 6 years later, uh, I'm here and the company has really hit the ground running after some of the pivots in 2019 and just rebuilding and finding our place in the new world order.
That's super exciting. Where are you guys at revenue wise now?
So, Catalyst itself is more around the 3 to 5 million. I inherited New Sante in 2019 with an email list of 7 people and maybe a sale a month. It was definitely a restart. And sometimes I find restarts are harder than starting new. But we're now at about the $1 million mark, which is really exciting. We've been taking off in the last 24 months in convenience stores and doing some of our product pivots. We just are going through some exciting changes this year, which I think are really gonna launch our product to even a new level of sale. We have a kids line called Newbies Kids, which is protein and fiber for kids. We just changed our sizing. If you're in the CPG world and any big changes, it like sizes and such is a fun roller coaster transition, but we have decided to make like a kids friendly size while still packing in great nutrition. So getting ready and thinking that's going to really help us jump from that $1 million mark to probably the five, but we know that's going to be a 12-month plus journey to get to that next jump.
That's awesome. I'm super curious about that jump, kind of your strategies and whatnot from getting to the one to the five. But tell us a little bit about one purchase a month to the first $100,000. So tell me kind of when you first came in, what did you guys do? I mean, COVID was a great year for a lot of e-com brands because a lot of people, shopped online. So tell me a little bit about that original strategy.
Yeah, so it was interesting. So I came on right before COVID started ramping up. So we had only a couple grocery retailers and very low brand awareness. So I had made the decision to pull out of out of like retailers, grocery, where it's a lot of pay to play and you really need to have brand awareness, to being in event locations, being that our product really served a niche need for sports areas that didn't have an offering that was healthy, and it was basically, 7-Up or juice, maybe milk if you're lucky. So we brought on all these new exciting locations, from ski hills to play centers to laser tag. And then it was February. And all those locations shut down. Like literally we were headed up to a ski lodge to do a big event. And that weekend is when they shut down. So it was a hard, like, oh shoot. Grocery stores were no longer even taking meetings for new products, so we couldn't even pivot to go back into grocery. So it was a hard, let's try to build e-commerce with zero budget. My budget that first year for all digital marketing, and our budget in total besides my salary, was $7,000, I think, for the whole year.
For
Which
the
is
year. Oh my
for the
gosh.
year, yeah.
Wow.
Which is next to nothing. And I was looking and I was like, okay, maybe all those snack box programs, that would be a really cool way to get our brand out there. And I started reaching to all of them. They're like, we love your product. We think it would be a great fit. So you just have to send us, 10 to 20,000 free units. Plus we only charge you $1 per box that you're in. $1 per box at 10 to 20,000 units is $10 to $20,000 plus the cost of all the product. As a upstart business, that was not an option to me. Obviously, $10 to $20,000 is more than my $7,000 budget. So I was thinking, how this isn't affordable to any startup brand. How could I build my own box, support other brands like me, and give opportunity and kind of collaborate? So I started reaching out to my other local food brands that were at same size and larger, and seeing if we could build our own box that I would pay them for the cost of their product, not their wholesale price. Just like, let me make sure that this doesn't cost you anything to be a part of the box. And in return, you announce it to your community and spread the word. And then got that. And then there was companies that were like, oh, I'll just give you the product. And I was like, oh, that's amazing. But the goal of this box wasn't to make profit. So instead, if they donated the product, I was like, well, what's the cost of your product? Let's donate that to a local charity or like food bank. We picked a different one every month. And I started building these monthly boxes with local companies. And we sold them on our website. So we got the email lists. We got all the knowledge. Each brand got exposure. Each brand got exposure to each other's community. And all the brands still recovered their cost. And we sold the box at cost to consumers. So consumers got to try the brands at a huge discount. And then this third thing was like all these brands started donating. So we also got to get back to community, which was this cool way of building up each other. But really, I went from an email list and no brand recognition to a few months going from 7 to much more, to now we're having 100, 200 subscribers. We're getting the brand out there. We're getting exposure. And now people aren't just coming for our boxes, but they're coming back to our website to buy our product. So it was kind of this win-win-win of building community and taking that challenge of, I have no budget, I have no brand awareness, I can't be the only one with this challenge. How can I turn this into a win?
Yeah, Autumn, that is super cool. So you kind of started off just giving out boxes, and I'm curious on the strategy behind that. But what a good method. I'm assuming all those other local brands, how did you convince them to do this? Was it more of like, we're giving a charity? Why did they back you up? Why did they want to get free product? Because what they wanted brand awareness,
Yeah, I
and
think it
because
was
obviously it wasn't
all,
crazy profitable.
yeah, no one was making money. But it was definitely, a lot of us were going, hey, we need exposure, we need brand awareness. We were all kind of in a similar position of not being able to now have meetings with grocery stores, not having huge budgets, but we all had unique audiences that we knew had a cross section of healthy eating. We were all better for you brands, that we believed that there would be cross community. So I literally cold emailed probably 30 CPG companies every week, being like, hey, I'm building the box. This is the concept behind it. You know, I'll pay you for your product, unlike any other box out there, which was a big selling feature to them. It did cost me upfront. Obviously, I had to pay them. They had a guarantee sale of something that didn't cost them. And then I had the benefit of recovering that cost down the road. So there was a risk involved there. There was a chance that the boxes wouldn't sell and I would have to pay all these brands for the product. But because we all, to participate in the box, you had to promise to do a newsletter, do a social media post, and do 3 stories. And that's how the kind of exchange worked. And in exchange, we all would tag each other. And we would usually do a giveaway too of 1 box. And in that, you had to follow all the brands in the box. So it helped build each other's communities. And it was really cool. We got to launch a couple brands. There's a Lotus Pop company now doing really well that we were their first entry into the market. So there's pride in that. We no longer do the boxes. They were a full-time job in themselves, but that's how we started building brand awareness and building our community in a time where everyone was fighting for eyeballs, and dollars had to be spent really, really wisely.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. So after that, what's kind of you guys started doing online sales, just the boxes. When did you actually start seeing traction with your own, just your product, not the
Yeah,
collaboration?
so the traction started pretty quickly. So we were doing at the beginning a box every other week. That very quickly by the summer changed to a box every month. But by about four boxes in, so 2 months, we started seeing those box people turn into regular buyers. And then we started up our subscription program shortly after that. And the nice thing is at the end of all the boxes would be delivered on the same day. They were local only in the beginning, so there wasn't shipping costs involved. And then I could do an email out to everyone and be like, hey, here's our product. If you like it, subscribe. Thank you. It was me that was personally delivering them. So it was a very boots on the ground, make it work philosophy. I spent a lot of time listening to podcasts in the car, a lot of music sing-alongs to get through the days. But it was a cool project in the fact that it was bootstrapped. It didn't cost a lot besides hours and time and life, which has a huge value to it. But it built up a really, really cool community. It created a lot of connections within the industry, and a lot of goodwill in the industry that when we needed things down the road, people jumped up and have always been happy to help.
Man, that's super awesome. That's super awesome. When did you guys start doing you get a good enough email list? Would you start doing campaigns and you saw good traffic from your email campaigns and then you started on ads?
Yeah, so we, in Canada, we have a lot of government support. So once I built up our email list to a couple hundred through those boxes and our own like kind of small trickling word of mouth, I was able to get some grant funds and do some larger campaigns. And our grant funds up here are 50-50. So for every $1,000 I personally spent, I would have $2,000 of ad money. So that helped a lot finding those resources because I was basically always able to double my budget. And then, so yeah, we started doing targeted ads, really doing geo-targeted information based off of who our email list is, and retargeting those that were visiting our website and using each dollar wisely and, really looking at that ROAS to ensure that we were getting and building what we wanted. And we were really lucky. Our subscription base took off right away. even today, our average subscriber life is well over 12 months. So
Wow.
yeah, we have loyalty from the start, and a lot of that I would say is customer service. Is we know, especially dealing with kids, their taste buds change or they get tired of something. So when we notice someone drop off or they reach out, we jump on and we're like, hey, we have other flavors. Like, we'll ship you a free set of flavors so you can see if there's a new one that your kid loves or that you love. And then
I love that.
expanding from there. Yeah.
I want to talk about the subscription boxes and how you make them so sticky. But what's some good advice that you'd have if somebody's kind of got to that level right now today in their business where they're getting ready to launch some ads on Meta, they're about ready to do that. What's some advice that you would give just like starting off on Meta?
I can't take any I tried doing it myself for a heartbeat and discovered this is not my talent. So I'd say be humble and reach out to resources when you can. So we went to a small agency. Well, first I went to a friend that worked at an agency and was like, hey, can you, give me a hand? And really calling in those favors. But then handed it off because I knew I would never be able to get the return on the spend as well as someone who actually knows what they're doing. I've learned a lot in my time here. So my background is actually non-for-profit business, dance, and I'm a scuba diving instructor. Before I came here, I was helping run a dive shop and teaching. So working in CPG, working in food and beverage is all new to me. E-commerce was pretty new to me. So in that sense, I kind of said, hey, there's smarter people than me. And I'm humble enough to go, I can't learn everything. Let me see if I can call in favors and get a hand. And then once we were getting good ROAS, bringing on the actual agency at a better rate. Things I have gotten to learn that I discovered I was good at is I got into product development. So there's areas where I know I can dig down and learn. I do a lot of our graphic design. So I discovered where I had talent to learn and I focused on that, and where I wasn't able to excel that really would impact the business, I reached out either through favors or hiring other people. So when it comes to Meta and getting that return, that was a hire out.
Awesome, awesome. When it comes to offers, was the agency kind of help you with the offers, or what kind of offers did you find worked well for you starting off?
Yeah, it's still a learning curve on offers. We just actually ran a huge New Year sale, which was super successful, but was our biggest offer to date at 25%. In the past, we've always just been like, hey, we're bootstrap. We try to keep our prices as low as possible, so our offerings were always less. But in the beginning, some of our best offers weren't actually discounts. Our subscriptions were discounted, I think maybe 8%, so not a huge discount. But what we did is we said, hey, you're becoming part of our herd. So there was a monthly gift in every box. So it was like a little extra perk that if you had a subscription box that you wouldn't get if you were just buying a regular box, and you were in the know. So we created a community out of that.
I love that. Communities perform really, really well, especially with subscriptions. What was that free gift that you did, and just to give us some ideas for us to do for our own businesses?
Yeah, so it ranged quite a bit. We had everything from fun little sticker sheets to pens to bamboo straws. So it was kind of like anything that was affordable, that was still eco-conscious. And then when you hit 1 year, you got, I don't know if I have a Lou the New here, but we have a little stuffy of our mascot, Lou the New, that was like, hey, congrats, thanks for being with us for a year. Lou would like to say hi and join your family. So, that was more an investment piece, but that was kind of what it did. And then whenever we had a new product, that would be the gift, and that still is. So we're relaunching our orange flavor, which was a huge online success. It's been off our website for over a year. So anyone who's in the subscription box we produce next week, their next subscription box will be a pouch of the orange. So that was also a nice way to introduce. When we launched 52 North, which is our hydration birch sap line, everyone got a free pouch of 52 North, which was a nice crossover because all of a sudden we got all the parents coming back and be like, okay, I'll order a box of this for my kids and I'll get a 52 North for me. So
Oh yeah, so you're bundling stuff. I love
yeah.
that. How are you getting people so sticky? Do you feel like they just, I mean, obviously genuinely love your product, but a 12-month subscription churn rate is really awesome. Tell me some tricks
Yeah,
for
I
that.
would say two things is one is a great product. We serve a lot with the sensory sensitive community, which is kind of an ignored community. We were originally designed our newbies product for a family friend that was rejecting foods on the spectrum. So we have really loyal people who are like, hey, this is actually a product that has nutrition that my kid will have. So I think just the type of product we have, the fact that we're uncompromised, is a lot to why people stick with us. But the second part is our customer service. We kind of bend over if someone's falling off or they say, hey, can I pause? I always ask them why. And if it's like, oh, my kid's just tired of the raspberry, and I go, well, why don't I send you one of each of the other flavors and let's see if we can find a new winner for them. So we constantly are in that engagement level
Hmm.
of how can we help you? How can we continue being of service to you?
Yeah,
And
that's
I think
interesting.
that's been
So
a lot.
when people try to cancel a subscription, is it all like online and then you reach out to them like, oh, why are you canceling? Or do they have to contact you to cancel?
So there is the option to cancel online. So we definitely have people who have figured that out. We have we went from using a really nice subscription service to now we use a more cost friendly subscription service. The compromise to that is it's not easy to change, which generally I think would annoy a lot of people, and it probably does. But the counter to that is we have chat support and email that's very responsive. It's me 24/7. I look forward to changing that. But in the meantime, that's, hey, can you help me pause my subscription? I jump on there. I'm a real person. I go, no problem. Can I ask why? Don't feel like you have to tell me, but if it's something we can address, I'd love to address. And sometimes it's like, hey, I'm moving. I was like, oh, where are you moving to? Like, we can change your address. Would you like me to pause it for a couple weeks? Or people are saying they want to cancel it, but really they just want to pause it because they're going to be gone for a month. So
Mm.
it's like, well, how about I just delay your next order to such and such date? Or again, like my time, we have too many bananas now. Okay, well, we have other flavors. How can we help you? Or your kid doesn't like the kids anymore. Well, we have the plus product. So maybe your kid wants to like feel bigger and older and try the plus, which still has the protein and fiber benefits. So it's just that listening piece on the customer service and being very responsive, I think has extended a lot of our subscribers that probably would have stopped at 6 months.
Mm. Mm. What was one of the biggest hurdles that you've had in the past couple of years, and how did you address it?
Oh, I mean, many. We like to call them learning opportunities, or some of those turn into team building opportunities. But I would say growth is a challenge, whenever you have to scale up. There was a lot of curveballs. We made a huge mistake. I think that hurt, and we're still getting over that hurdle of thinking our product could kind of survive anywhere. We knew we were shelf stable. It didn't have to be refrigerated, and that was an awesomeness. So whenever I'd go into a new warehouse, I'd be like, yeah, we're ambient. It's fine. We ended up in a really warm location in an Amazon warehouse, and we discovered our product wasn't as stable at high heat um,
Oh
we
no.
thought. And all of a sudden, I started getting all these reviews talking about chunky product, and I was like, some people were saying positive, like it's really cool. There's like bursts of fruit in it. I'm like,
Ah.
no, no. I'm like, I'm glad it's a positive review, but that's not how it should be. And what was happening is the product was still safe. It still tasted good, but the sensory of it changed. And eventually it changed enough that people were like, it's kind of not as smooth as I expected. And that was just the science of the product being at 80 plus. Some of the proteins were like becoming little balls of jelly, which was not the sensory it was supposed to be. So discovering, hey, we still need to put parameters on our product, even though it's shelf stable, even if it was safe. Like, you still have to make sure it can survive and how you set it up. So that was a big learning curve that definitely cost us. We ended up pulling ourselves off of Amazon, and now we're just rebuilding. We haven't gone back to going into Amazon warehouse because we still want to ensure that we're, holding the quality of our product that's being shipped, which hurts, some of your rankings when you're not in their warehouse. But we were doing really, really well, outdoing people's expectation. We were going through product really quickly, and then all of a sudden it stopped and the reviews started coming in, and we had to investigate why. And that was a learning curve that hurt, and that's been a rebuild for sure.
Man, that's interesting. Yeah, that's a good lesson right there. I love that. Where are you guys at now, and kind of what's your strategy? Do you guys have some action items that you're applying for 2026 that you can kind of share with us that maybe we can apply to our business?
Yeah, I would say every pivot is an opportunity. So every struggle is an opportunity, but you never know where you're going to take off. We thought our trajectory would be standard, and we would go natural health and then grow into more regular grocery stores. And then we knew there was a convenience element of our product, and go into C stores and gas stations and, that's a more traditional trajectory. We got an opportunity, I guess it was a year and a half ago, to go into convenience, and everyone was like, you guys are crazy. Like, that's high competition, high turn, not a traditional, like, you don't start in convenience. That's like end of the game. You have success, you have brand awareness, you're not going to make it. All of a sudden our sales went up 4 times. So hearing like that's not the traditional market, that's not the traditional path, you don't have to listen to it. I would say take the opportunities, assess them. You don't have to take every opportunity. There's definitely costs and faults to taking every opportunity. But when you see an opportunity and you really truly believe, hey, I think we belong here, we can make it, you can have huge successes. And this year we're launching into 750 Circle K stores because of taking that opportunity and believing that, yes, we're not a big dog, but there's an opportunity, there's a desire for our product, that there is a real white space. It doesn't just have to be watered down juices for kids on the go, or high protein shakes. We have our big kids line, us being big kids, that provide protein and fiber for on the go. And we were kind of, again, in a white space. You either had the high sugary smoothies with very little benefits, or you had the high protein shakes that weren't necessarily appropriate for the everyday consumer. So we launched both of them into C-Store, and we found that there was a real home for us and a desire that we filled that no one else was filling. So look for those white spaces and opportunities, even if they go against the traditional grain of growth.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about when you felt it's good, because I know you guys have a good variety of products. When you felt it was good to do research and development on a net new product versus just kind of honing in on your winning hero products and just growing that enough. Why are you making the decision to make more? And then also, how do you go about that?
So I would say sometimes we get ahead of ourselves a little bit in desiring to bring new products to market. But we have a real passion for creating diversification, and we love building products. That's really our background as a company. My dad started Catalyst, that's our parent company, as a formulation consulting and supply chain consulting business. So formulating and designing beverages is really at our strength and at our core. And sometimes that runs away from us because we'll be like, okay, that's doing fine, but I want to do this. But I would say from the sales end, I really look at where's a white space in the market? How does this align with us? So, for example, we have a glow product, which has 3 scientifically backed ingredients that are synergistic to each other to support radiant skin. That came from the fact that we have a whole bunch of moms. We have people who care about their health. We're serving their families right now. So we have access to that community to bring in that product, which we know has a bigger demographic, but we have an early access point to one of the demographics that would align to that. So we launched that. We weren't quite ready for that launch. And it was the first time we explored outside of our pouch packaging, which is our strength and specialty. So finding co-pens for that and keeping the quality in our IP wasn't the strength. So we've actually just reformulated it into a shot, which is really exciting because now it can be taken on the go. And it brought it back into a pouch packaging. So that's relaunching. My guess is Q2. We just finished the formulation work. So that's exciting. This year has a lot ahead for us. It will be a challenging year. So maybe if you talk to me in December, I might take back everything I've said, or I might have had an extraordinary year. So I mentioned the new pouch size for kids, which is giving us a better price point, competition, better sensory use, better lunchbox utility side. We're taking our Newbies Plus, we're making it plant-based so we can reach those who have dairy protein allergens. So that's going to be a journey, taking everyone from our whey protein product into plant on the plant plus side. We relaunched 52 North, which is our hydration last year, just got distribution, so really exciting to see where that goes. And we're adding in this other layer of bringing our glow back. So it's a big year for us, but it's also the first year I have a real team behind me. So last year we started dabbling with having a bit of sales team, and this year I have a full support sales team. I have an e-com team with me, sales team. So I feel in a better place. I think one of the biggest challenges is there's white spaces, there's an opportunity, but restraining yourself to not jump at it until you're in a place to support that growth is really important. So that was a lesson I learned last year that I'm excited to take into next year with a better team.
That's awesome. That's super exciting. Super exciting. Tell me some great advice, or one of the many great advice I'm sure that you got from maybe a mentor or something, and how you applied it to your business and how it turned out.
So much great advice from within the industry and without. I have maybe 2 separate stories, and hopefully I won't get so distracted that I lose track of one of them. So I'll keep the first one short. Is I have a little sticker tab on the side of my desk, and during a mentor program, I was asked this question: are you the only person that can be doing this? And then the second part, are you going to be happy with this decision in a year? So whenever I'm working on something, I kind of look at that tab to make sure, like, is this the right thing for me to be focusing on it right now? Am I the only one that can be doing this, or is this a task that can, be handed off to someone else to open up my bandwidth to focus on where I excel at? And if I am doing this, is this something I'm happy with, down the road? So that was really cool advice. That it was a year mentorship through a women leadership program that stuck with me, that I still have on my desk. The other piece of advice, or hey, you should switch this up, I completely ignored, and they came around to me. So I'd say, when you have a strong belief in it, it is important to hear everyone and take that information in and decide if it's right for you. I was pitching our brand at, a pitch slam, and everyone was like, this product's great, it's amazing, but do you really want it in a pouch? And we had always debated over time, and a variety of times, is the pouch the right format? We've always come to the right conclusion: convenience for our consumer. Generally, everyone who takes our product likes the fact that it's in a pouch. From an eco standpoint, our earth pillar It has the lowest carbon impact, the lowest water waste, the lowest mineral impact, that I wasn't ready to change to another platform just to accommodate people's comfort of being familiar to them in the format. We knew at this moment in time the pouch was the most eco-friendly version, as well as a convenient factor of format. Fast forward 2 years later, we were debating switching to a resealable can, and I was mentioning it to the mentor that was like, hey, I don't think you should be in a pouch. I was like, hey, we're actually debating maybe going into a resealable can, and he was like, don't do it. You made the right choice. You ignored me. The pouch is exactly the format you need to be in. So it was nice, that reassurance that, there's times where advice isn't always going to be right for you if you know the reason why you're making it. So always listen, I would say. Last year we got the advice like, hey, your kids' product is really, really large. Would you be open to making it smaller? And originally we dismissed it because we didn't think we could compete in a smaller size, but, took the advice and sat with it and made the decision to accept it by looking at the numbers, looking at the business model, understanding our competition. And that was the same reason I dismissed the advice on changing our packaging. As I listened to it, I looked at what we're doing, why we're doing it, what our consumers think, and ignored it. So 2 pieces of advice, one I took, one I didn't, but it both came from that standpoint of knowing my product, knowing my consumers, and knowing my why. And why can be really important to success.
Love that. Love that. What do you want people to take away from listening to this podcast?
Getting dirty and getting in your business and driving it is a large part of success. I would say if I hadn't taken the challenge of zero brand awareness and no budget to creating those boxes and doing that work, we wouldn't have a brand now. I think we would have gotten lost and disappeared, even though we had a great product. Is get dirty, take a challenge, and make it an opportunity. I would say that's one of the big takeaways, and then always know your why.
I love that. Do you like quotes? Do you have any quotes that you like? It's okay if you don't.
Yeah, no, I would say there's been one quote my whole life that's always stuck with me, and it's from Helen Keller, and I'm probably going to mess it up, but it will be the gist of it. I am only one, but yet I am one. I cannot do everything, but I will do this something I can do. Whether that's your personal life or your business life, I think it's really a driver. You can't do everything, but you can do a lot.
I love that. My wife's on the whole, she keeps, I don't know if you've been hearing the whole Helen Keller wasn't real, kind of thing going on right now. I don't know anything about it. But my wife's like, she flew an airplane. She wasn't blind and deaf and, couldn't speak all the same. I don't know. That's a whole funny thing going on. But no, I love that quote. I think that's great. And I want to hear about some education stuff. How are you educating yourself? Obviously, you talked about you did some mentorship, which is phenomenal. What are some ways you educate yourself, whether it's books, podcasts, courses, mentorships, and what would you suggest if you could do it again, some more learnings?
I think I would have dived into learning a lot earlier. I had a lot of opportunities to take part in webinars, seminars, think tanks, accelerator programs well after I had already learned that stuff the hard way. So I if I could go back, I would tell myself, hey, dig into the learning earlier, try to get access to all those accelerators and everything before, because by the time I took them, I was like, oh, I know this stuff, I need the next stage. So now it's reading biographies of leaders I really appreciate. I took a women in leadership course from Yale about a year ago, through an opportunity at NACS, which is Convenience, National Association of Convenience Stores. They helped us kind of subsidize a learning program with Yale, and it was really, really cool. But what I walked out with is I walked out with all these leadership skills I didn't have, but the other half of it was I walked out with a community of fellow leaders that we get to lean on and ask questions to and continue learning. And I would say having that resource was just as, if not more, valuable than the actual courses. So I'd say build your community, not just of your brand, but build your community of other leaders around you that you can bounce ideas off of, ask support, complain to, being like, what the, what's going on? And then they also be like, hey, this book was really great, or this podcast is good. And having that back and forth exchange really, opens you up to things in your tunnel that you wouldn't necessarily see. And I just wanted to circle back to, it's half quote, but selfishly / learning takeaway is, my background obviously isn't business in the traditional sense. It's dance and social work. So I'd say regardless what you're learning in, it's the opportunity of learning how to work hard. But I got a huge opportunity to dance with Bobby McFerrin on stage and do improv, which is a cool skill in itself. But he said about me, there's good dirt in her bones. And that's why, I was gravitated to giving her this opportunity. And I would say, to me, that means so much, because it means everything in your life, all that dirt you've done, can build you a foundation, whether that dirt is full of rocks and hard times or sand or nurturing soil. All of that builds you into having the foundation to do awesome things and get cool opportunities. So I think that's kind of a key takeaway is whatever your background is, it prepares you more for your tomorrow than you know.
I love that. I love that. Autumn, I want to have you on again next year, possibly if it works out. We'll stay connected, and I'd love to see where you are. What is something that you want to have happen this year, that next year, this time, next January, 2027, that you want to be able to say kind of went on this year? What are some goals that you have?
So I would say definitely, this time next year, I want to be diversifying into the Asian marketplace. It's a huge opportunity, diversification, but a whole new learning set. And to do that, we need to have the funds and success of this year to bring the support to diversifying into Asia. So my goal this year is to have the successful launch in Circle K, continue building out those store numbers, continue building out our opportunities, and have sales numbers that I can run into the Asian market with full funds, because we just had a stellar year.
That is awesome. That's awesome. Well, is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to share?
I just say go for it, have fun, and anytime you make a mistake, it's not a mistake, it's a chance to pivot and learn and be better.
I love that. I love that. All right. Awesome, guys. Thank you so much, Autumn, for coming on. It was such a blessing. If you guys found value in this content, please, please, please subscribe, share this, share this with somebody that you think is going to find value in this. And I hope that you guys can take this and apply it to your business. And I'll see you guys next time.